Have you ever been told that you can't do it? Have you ever been told that you won't succeed? Have you ever been told that it's not possible, that it can't be done? My name is Sam Riggio, and this is my story. When I was 15, I had the whole world at my feet. The world was my oyster. As a young cricketer, I had stars in my eyes wanting to play cricket for Australia. And I savoured every victory and every proud moment as a young cricketer, and they are memories that I have today. But I'm here to tell you that life doesn't always serve up what you expect, and I'm here to tell you that it can be done. When I was 15, I wanted to play cricket for Australia, but as I grew, my world and my thoughts and dreams changed into prospects of a career. I started as a young salesman, wanting to work my way up with a camping company. And at 19, I had 4 of the 5 things that I wanted in my life. I had a beautiful girlfriend, I had my dream car, I had a boat, and I had my dream job with a company that I was happy working for. The only thing that was left for that dream that I had was a house. So at 19, I had already 4 of the 5 things that I wanted in my life. I had the beautiful girlfriend, I had my dream car, I had a boat, and I had that career. The only thing left to complete the picture was a house. And with my career, I was well on my way to achieving that. I learnt very quickly that work and being successful in business is about having balance between your work life and personal life. So I took the chance to get out with nature, get out with my family, and enjoy those activities like fishing and driving my dream car that I love so much. It was Australia Day 1999 when my world changed forever, when on my way to my girlfriend's house, a truck merged in my lane without seeing me, forcing my car to leave the road and be wrapped around a power pole, with the impact of the pole being on my driver's side door. The injuries that I sustained were a dislocated skull and C12 vertebrae in the top of my neck. With the force, my head literally dislocated and detached from my body. I shattered my pelvis, I broke my ankle, I ruptured my spleen, I punctured my lung, parts of my stomach had to be removed, and I also lacerated my liver. It took 45 minutes for SES crew to cut me out, and in the air ambulance I had to be revived 3 times. I was clinically dead 3 times. It was at the hospital that my parents spoke to the doctors for the first time. And they said to my parents, "Your son has a 50-50 chance of survival. If he does survive, it is more than likely that he will be on life support for the rest of his life. There is a chance that he could have brain damage, and there is a chance that he could be on that ventilator with the brain damage for life." The prospects for me weren't great. There was already a time when my parents were being told that I can't, that I won't. And if I did survive, that I would most certainly never walk again, with a spinal injury being at the same level that Christopher Reeve suffered. I remember waking up in hospital for the first time, and it was my father that I spoke to. And he said, "Sam, don't worry about the car." And at that stage I thought I only had a couple of broken legs. I really didn't understand what I'd gone through. It was 2 months after still being on life support that I started to really understand what had happened to me and the trauma that my body had gone through. My mum for the first time got a mirror and put it up to my face, and I could see the halothoracic vest that was on my head and chest, with the screws going into my skull. And staring back at me in that mirror was a shadow of the man that I used to be. And I started to ask questions of what my future could hold. And I'll never forget the first time I asked the nurse whether I would walk again. She had to lip read me because I was still on life support and I was inaudible. I said, "Will I walk again? That's all I want to know." And she looked at me and said, "No, you won't walk. You will never walk again." That night I was all alone in that hospital bed and I cried my eyes out. The next day my mum came in. She would have to travel 3 hours a day on public transport just to come and spend 1 hour with me to feed me lunch. I was paralysed from the neck down, and I told my mum what the nurse had told her. And she said, "Don't you ever tell my son what the future holds for him. You don't know what the future holds for him." She told the nurses off. And then she came to my bedside and said, "Sam, there is nothing to fear but fear itself. And if it's God's will, you will walk again." And from that day I felt a power come over me like I'd never felt before. In my mind, I was going to walk again. So in the very early stages I started visualisation. I knew nothing about natural therapy, I knew nothing about visualisation, but I simply closed my eyes and imagined myself walking again. I spent 6 weeks on life support, with the possibility that I'd have to be on it for the rest of my life. After over 6 weeks, I got off life support. It was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do till this day. I was transferred out of intensive care and transferred over to Royal Talbot, where I announced my ambitions of walking again. Continually I was met with, "You can't, you won't, you've suffered a spinal cord injury, it's not possible." 8 months after the accident, I took my first steps. And it was a glimmer of hope when all hope was lost and when I was given no hope. I went home after 14 months and 10 days in hospital, able to walk 15 to 20 metres with a walking frame. Little did I know back then what a massive journey and many more hurdles I would have in front of me over the next 3 to 4 years. Once I got home, my body went into meltdown. I tore my tendons in my left shoulder twice, which required me to have surgery twice within 10 months. I was back wheelchair bound, and by that stage taking 20 to 30 prescription medications a day was starting to take its toll on my body. I tore the tendons in my right shoulder and I tore the patella tendon in my knee, all within the space of 3 to 4 years. I was back wheelchair bound, my body was in meltdown. I was having constant problems with my bowel and bladder, constant infections where I would bleed half a litre a day. I was having bowel accidents where my quality of life was non-existent. All I was existing, I wasn't living. To the point where I thought about taking my own life, and I remember having a case of Valium to my mouth, and I thought, no, I can't do it. I can't do it to my family, and I must hold on. Because with each day that I wake up, there is hope. There is a chance to change my life. 7.5 years later, with heavy prescription medication taking a massive toll on my body, I asked the surgeon why I was in so much pain and why I was going on a downward spiral so much.